recommendations as well is being asked by the council to be taking on issues relating to this to ensure the success of the measures being rolled out by management of the university. Beyond that as well, no events should be organized by students, and no event should be held for the remainder of the 2021-2022 academic year without the express approval of the Dean of Students Affairs. Then we also know that students who are offered places in the halls of residence should be made to sign undertakings to be of good behavior. Then there's the point 3, which is a directive indicating that to ensure accountability of hall officials to university authorities, the Vice-Chancellor should appoint key officers in all of the halls of residence based on recommendations from the halls in a similar way that actually heads of departments are appointed. To this end, a standard procedure for the election or appointment of hall officials should be addressed in the ongoing revisions of the university statutes. Then at point 5, the council is indicating that the composition of the Commonwealth and Mensa halls should be reviewed. That's also becoming a point of controversy. But management of the 2 affected halls are also being directed that they need to be held accountable for the actions and the inactions of the leadership for that persistent riot that we keep seeing, because this amounts to perhaps the second time in almost the space of a year where we're recording all of these clashes. Now, at point 7, the University Council is also indicating that the Hall Master and Senior Tutor of the Commonwealth Hall have not exhibited sufficient willingness and ability to hold students of the hall accountable for their action in the recent clashes that we observed on campus. And these officers should therefore, and this is where the directive is coming from, in the interim, be relieved of their duties while management works with the security services to investigate the clashes and towards finding lasting solutions to the tension between the students and the 2 halls. Now, Commonwealth Hall is also to be surcharged with the cost of damages to property in the vicinity of the Mensa Saba Hall in the wake of the recent clashes that were recorded on campus. So these are some of the wide-range decisions that we're getting from the council, but the final one is also indicating that the Junior Common Room JCR presidents of the Commonwealth and Mensa Saba halls should be referred to the disciplinary committee for junior members for their actions and inactions feeding or actually leading to all of these riots. Well, some students of the hall this afternoon converged in front of the hall chanting and actually demanding the reversal of the management's decision. My colleague Gukwa Santi engaged some of them earlier today.
So the situation has calmed on campus at the moment. About an hour ago, residents of Commonwealth Hall converged right here in front of the hall, chanting that their hall master and their senior tutor, who have all now been suspended by the governing council of the university, should be reinstated before they would go back. When the situation happened, a number of policemen drawn from the Greater Accra Regional Police Command were here together with campus security to try and resolve the situation and get the residents to go back in there. They didn't succeed at the time because the residents said they were not going back until that decision was taken back. But after some talks with some leadership of the hall, they decided to go back. The story is that a few weeks back, there were clashes between residents of Commonwealth Hall and Mensa Saba Hall that led to the destruction of some properties, including cars that were burnt over there at Saba. Also, the statue of Mensa Saba that is right in front of the hall was also destroyed. Management decided to investigate the situation and try and bring the perpetrators to book. The governing council of the university met over the situation and announced a raft of measures, including the suspension of the 2 top officials of Commonwealth Hall, as well as deciding to surcharge residents of Commonwealth Hall for the damages that were caused. That is what the Commonwealth Hall residents are not happy about. They say if this was a clash, it presupposes that there were 2 factions to the situation, and so the punishment or any decision at all must affect both. They are wondering why the senior tutor, as well as the hall master of Commonwealth Hall, will be suspended and that of Mensa Sabah Hall will not be suspended. They are also asking questions. Why are you surcharging residents of Commonwealth to pay for the damages? And why are you not doing same for Mensa Sabah Hall residents? Another sticking point of this whole issue regarding the statement that was put out by management having to do with the recomposition of the halls. We know that a few years back, management tried to convert Commonwealth Hall to a mixed hall because of the clashes that kept happening between Commonwealth Hall as well as Mensa Sabah Hall. They did not succeed at the time because Old Vandals Association and some well-meaning Ghanaians kicked against that decision. It appears that is back on the burner now. According to that statement from the Governing Council, they are going to look into that and take a decision. Residents are also asking, Sabah Hall is already a mixed hall. If you are deciding to vary the composition, what exactly are you going to do? It means Commonwealth again will be the only hall that will be affected. And so they are asking all these questions and asking management to come out and explain to them, as well as taking a decision to reinstate the senior tutor as well as the hall master of the hall. We know now that officials of the Ghana Police Service are holding a meeting, crunch meeting, with some management of Commonwealth to try and bring this situation under control. What we know is that it will take some time before calm is eventually restored. But for now, the residents have all moved back into the hall and they are waiting the kind of decision that will come up from the meeting between their management as well as the Ghana Police Service.
The school management isn't being fair with Commonwealth Hall in the sense that they released a communique that University Council decision on clashes between students of Commonwealth Hall and Mensa Sabah Hall. Yet you've been able to pass judgment. This is not done anywhere. The composition of Commonwealth Hall and Mensa Sabah should be reviewed. Mensa Sabah Hall is already a mixed hall. So what are you telling us? It means you are directly saying that Commonwealth Hall composition is going to be reviewed. In what sense? Going to make it to a mixed hall? No, they lie bad.
That is why it makes no sense. That's why it is ludicrous. I have not been part of the violence, and so why am I being surcharged? For what reason? What situation? Or what are some of the evidence that points to the fact that violence has been sanctioned by Commonwealth Hall? Now, you sanctioning or relieving the hall master and hall tutor from, have they sanctioned any violence?
And for sanity to prevail and for peace to come back to this, I think the right thing must be done. They have to recant the decision that they have taken by recalling our hall master and our hall tutor back to their post.
We are not going to sit down and allow management to pass a biased judgment. We as vandals are out to express our total discretion on what management is saying.
From the cameras and from all the except that they have, I don't think they have been able to point to even extrapolate a scintilla of evidence against any vandal. So why should they come to this hasty conclusion?
All right, my colleague Kuku Asante there with a wrap of activities on campus today. He'll be joining me shortly with updates on that. But fortunately, I've been joined now by security analyst Adam Bona, who joins us via Zoom. He actually chaired a similar committee set up by the VC of the University of Ghana to investigate similar clashes in the past. Mr. Bona, thank you for your time. So a meeting is underway. I'm definitely sure that you're going to be part of such deliberations. But even before you go into the engagements, what do you make of the update so far and the decision by the Council of the University? Mr. Bona, if you can hear me, I'm just asking about the latest that we're getting and also the issue relating to that meeting which is underway. I'll come to you shortly for your responses on that, but I also need to point out that Kweku Asante has been on campus all throughout the day. And Kweku, you know much more about this because of what transpired even when you were on campus. So I'll come to you shortly, but I guess Mr. Bona is ready for us. Doc, if you're with us, okay, so we'll try and rectify that quickly. Quickly, let's talk about the years past and what normally accounts for this perennial clash between Mensa Sabah and the Commonwealth Hall. How did it all start?
So, Blessed, it's been very difficult to put a finger on why and what exactly is causing that kind of rift between residents of Commonwealth and Sabah students. Because, indeed, Sabah is a little bit of an offshoot of Commonwealth Hall. When Sabah was built, they brought some of the residents from Commonwealth Hall to build it. So there are those who expect that there will be that kind of brotherly relations between those two halls. It has not been over the years. But what has happened is, normally when these attacks happen, both sides will say that this member of our hall was attacked by this member or by this group of students, and then there will be reprisals. Then these students will go around trying to pick the law and put it in their own hands and, as it were, exact justice in their own way. Management has not been able, over the years, to put a lid on the situation. They've had a number of situations and a number of scenarios trying to deal with it. It hasn't succeeded so far. A few years back, they tried to change Commonwealth or the composition of the hall to a mixed hall, because they thought if you brought more girls, quote unquote, then the gentlemen who will usually be doing this violence, the numbers will be reduced and all that.
And just for the purposes of those who may not get the context of this, why is it so much of a big deal when you talk about Commonwealth Hall and even the decision to change them into a mixed hall in the first place?
So these two halls battle for what they call the supremacies in the hall. It is something that exists in most of the public tertiary institutions. It's in KNUST, it's also in UCC, where you have the CASFOR, the Katangas, and all those things. So if you go to University of Ghana, Commonwealth Hall, they pride themselves as the lords of campus. So they actually call all other halls colonies. They say that they are the vandals, they are the leaders, and everything must come secondary to them. Then in Sabah, there is something called the Republic of Okponglu, which is the quote-unquote vandal arm of Mensa Sabah Hall. That is all male. They have the systems just like Commonwealth Hall. They have a chief. They have they call them Okpo lords. They have the hierarchy that just exists like you have in Commonwealth Hall. You have chief vandals, so people like Clement Apak, Egbert Febo, and all those people from the past have all gone through. So these two halls are battling for supremacy at most occasions. So what happens is, recently, Mensa Sabah Hall was holding their Okpo Week, where they went around campus on a procession. Commonwealth Hall also go on a procession sometimes. Then there are clashes between these two halls. Sometimes it beats imaginations why people who are in a university will go to the extent of doing those things, burning cars, and the kind of decisions they take within those split seconds. The university has always tried to put a lid on the situation. It hasn't succeeded so far. And more than 50 years since Commonwealth was established, these clashes still do recur. So it is something that management will be hoping that this raft of measures that they've taken now, including the suspension of the hallmaster and the senior tutor, which residents of Commonwealth completely disagree with, and they masked up right in front of the hall, just like we've seen in the videos. Clearly so not happy.
And then the other decision by the council to indict the hallmaster. Why is that becoming a big deal? So
if you look at the halls, Commonwealth Hall, for instance, elects their own hallmaster from the hall council, the whole fellowship. So the hallmaster and the senior tutor are mostly always old vandals. So the current hallmaster,
is also a vandal.
Is an old vandal. The senior tutor is an old vandal. So members now feel like there's an attack on us, because if you are attacking one vandal, then you are getting to all of
In fact, it's about to get interesting, but let's bring in Dr. Bona now. Doc, you are about to enter some engagements. I'm suspecting in relation to all of this, but even before such engagements begin, you've chaired a similar committee before. What recommendations did you make? And would you say that management put that into action, for which all of this should have been averted in the first place?
Well, thank you very much. It is difficult for me to go into the recommendations or my committee's reports. And the reason is that the university has not put out the report is not in the public domain. And so I wouldn't want to go in there. I would need the permission of the university to do that. But be that as may, I would say that, you know, during the interaction with those we invited to come and meet the committee when we start for the several days we did. You know, some of the things that came up has to do with what we are seeing today. You know, where you have hallmasters and tutors who owe no allegiance, whose allegiance is actually to their hall and not the university. And so some of the suspended and those who have been relieved of their position today, when some of them were invited, initially, the gesture and what do you call it, their stance, you know, almost looked like They saw nothing. They didn't see anything. They didn't feel anything. They didn't smell anything. Meanwhile, buses and destruction to university property had occurred. And if you are a hall master, a hall tutor, you have school or students who are in your care. And therefore, even if someone whispered something into your ears, that something has gone untoward, it is incumbent on you to go around and investigate. And so for some of them to have been invited to my committee and they actually, almost went like they didn't know what went on. It didn't happen at their hall, at Commonwealth Hall, and therefore they cannot speak to it. For me, that was sad.
Right.
And so as far as I'm concerned, some of us have preempted, after handing over the report to the university. Some of us actually, generally made the university aware that if measures are not put in place, one day some rogue students, with the tacit support of senior members of the university, are likely to go around with, tanker filled with petrol, pour it all over the university and burn everybody, including they themselves, because then you have students who, not all of them, some of them who are most likely to take the law into their hands, and they don't care. They don't care what happens. Nothing would happen to them.
Right.
And so, as far as I'm concerned, these remedial measures the university is putting in place is right. I think they should go forward and ensure that these things are enforced.
Okay, you support the position of the council, but as a security analyst as well, some have criticized the decision of the council as lacking emotional intelligence. Why stoke the fire when, of course, the tempers are yet to calm down? I guess that's the immediate concern of some of the members of the Commonwealth Hall, particularly knowing how they hold their whole, and that all-male nature of it in high esteem.
Well, I think the all-male nature of it is beautiful. But if something is beautiful and you try to dent it, you try to, paint it with all manner of stuff, then the beautiful nature of it would be diminished. And as far as I'm concerned, I support the decision of the university management and council 100%. Anyone who was part of my committee, strangely enough, the now Dean of Students, Professor Rosina Tremantin, was part of my committee. You had Professor Bebio. There were several senior members of the university who were on my committee. And the kind of things we had, I cannot put them out there because I don't have the university's permission to put them out there. But as far as I'm concerned, if the university and the council, if they don't sit together with the students and ensure that it becomes a very serene environment for academic work to thrive. One day, like I said, because the vehicle that was bent and the distraction, some of us said it, that if things are not put right, it is going to get worse.
At least we're seeing that directive. We're seeing that directive where, of course, council is asking that there be a temporary halt on all activities in terms of social gatherings. Some say, let's go beyond that and maybe shut down the school for a while.
Well, the school shouldn't be shut down. When you know where the problem is, you deal with the problem. The University of Ghana is not bigger than the Republic of Ghana. The University of Ghana, works within the framework of the 1992 Constitution. And so if you have few, students who are taking the law, see, you know what? It's not every student in Commonwealth Hall who is bad. And it's not every student among the Vikings who is bad. Get those who are bad, get them punished. Because for a very long time, some of these students have no business being on that campus. Because then I have intel some students who have firearms on them. Why would you want to go to school with a firearm? And as far as I'm concerned, when these things go on and on and on, you have other students who are coming in, getting emboldened. One of the challenges also had to do with those who have finished, graduated, are still residents on campus. And they've become, facilitators. They train some of these students. So as far as I'm concerned, it is a bigger challenge. And so the university would have to narrow it down. they don't have to close down the university. I mean,
All
the
right.
university is bigger than Sogah Hall and Commonwealth. As far as I'm concerned, I think there is a challenge. I'm aware some students who were directly connected to the violence are likely to be arrested. And so as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't want to go into...
Yeah. You have some privileged knowledge there, but we'll still wait for the outcome of that meeting. And quickly, we need to wrap up, but what more do we need to know?
So this afternoon, a conversation between some leading members of the Ghana Police Service from the Greater Accra Police Command have been meeting with both management of Commonwealth and Mensa Sabaho. At the time I left campus, they had just finished that meeting with the Commonwealth management, and they were meeting with Sabah. What we know also is that the Pro-Vice Chancellor in charge of academics and student affairs is now meeting the police officials to try and see how they can put a lid on the situation for now. It also does not appear that management is going to go back on that decision to suspend the hall master of Commonwealth Hall and also the senior tutor. It will be interesting to see what happens in the next few days, but the residents are very angry. They say that if that decision is not reversed, as well as that decision to surcharge only them and not Mensa Sabah Hall students, it could push them into certain form of actions. Bless it.
I call him Vandal Kweku Asante. Anyway, thanks for giving us that update from the University of Ghana. Member of Parliament for Domi-Kwabena Sarah Adwoa has officially acknowledged President Akufo-Addo's decision to revoke her appointment as Gender and Social Protections Minister after public uproar over the MP's continuous absence both in Parliament and at the ministry. President Akufo-Addo opted to kick her out of office. In her stead, Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapa will act as the caretaker minister as we await the decision of Parliament on the nomination of Deputy Gender Minister Lariba Zuweri Abudu as the substantive minister. So let's bring you excerpts of that communique from the presidency issued on the 2nd of August, indicating that the President of the Republic, in accordance with Article 78 of the Constitution, has appointed the Deputy Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Lariba Zuweri Abudu, the Member of Parliament for Wale Wale, as the Minister Designate for Gender, Children and Social Protection. Now, her appointment is subject to the approval from Parliament. Now, pursuant to Article 79 of the Constitution, President Akufo-Addo has actually nominated Francisca Otain-Mensah, the Member of Parliament for Kwabre East, and as Deputy Minister Designate for Gender, Children and Social Protection, now subject to the approval of Parliament. Now, the President is hopeful that Parliament will also expedite the approval of his nominees for that important ministry as we're getting, so that they can assist in the effective delivery of the mandate of his second term. So that's the communique we got from the presidency earlier this month. But you do recall that we had an exclusive with Sarah Adwoa, who told us earlier this year on the polls that she had hopes of resuming her duties as gender minister once she returns to the country. Suspect then could be the motive of, for instance, very high-profile persons within the NPP. For instance, you have the general secretary of your political party, for instance, coming out publicly to say the NPP was considering at some point relieving you of the party ticket and declaring your seat vacant. You've heard John Boydu say some of these words. How does that come to you, and what do you believe may be the motive of your general secretary?
I cannot speak to people's motives. What I can speak to is what I know. And what I know is I have been on the party's ticket for the people of Domi-Kwabena, and I have given the highest votes to the party. And I'm the first woman to lead, and I have led, and my words and my footprints are there for everybody to see. And if I have to take time off at this crucial time, and I have done, I believe that the reasonable people would understand. And I believe he's reasonable as well.
And we know that definitely, as you're indicating to us, you will return. But then the question about resuming your role as gender minister. We know there's a caretaker minister as we speak, acting in your stead. Will you take up the post immediately you return, or perhaps you are considering resigning from post?
That is what you're expecting, or that's what other people are expecting?
Well, it's all about you in the end, because you say the president is well aware. So what will you do? Will you take up the post once you return?
And since I haven't resigned, it's implied that exactly what you're saying is the truth. When I touch down, I am going to do what I have to do as a minister, since I haven't been relieved of my post yet.
So why are you failing to give the people of Ghana and your constituents the exact date that you'll return to this country? A lot of people are anxious, waiting to see, well, she says she'll come back, but she's not showing up anytime soon. When is Sarah Jossafo returning?
She's going to return when issues with family are well sorted out. And that is not something that I can predict. And that is not something that is within my power. And there is a lot within the United States that I don't want to share. And we're talking about a child, and we're talking about medical stuff. And I don't want to put it out there, because even if you ask for it from the authorities here, they're not going to give it to you. And I'm not going to give it out in public. So everything is going to work out, and I'm going to come back and take my position. So whatever anybody is saying, I think we're in a reorganization mood in the party. People have interest. People have motives. People have things that they want to do. But I don't want to be the center of that, and I'm concentrating on what I asked permission from the head of state, the commander-in-chief, and the president of the republic that I'm going to do is exactly what I'm doing.
Okay, then, fast forward, Sarah Jossafo appears to have welcomed the decision of the president. Well, she's actually officially reaching to the president, indicating that the decision of the president to revoke her appointment will now afford her the opportunity to concentrate on her parliamentary duties. Let's bring you a excerpt of the letter intercepted by JoyNews, reaching to the president. It indicates that I acknowledge your letter dated the 28th of July 2022, and I would like to express my gratitude for the opportunity to serve as Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. On Friday, the 29th of July 2022, I handed over all official assets to the administrator of the ministry. It is with profound gratitude that I express the utmost appreciation to you for the opportunity to serve as minister in both terms of your government. She continues to say that it was an honor to serve at this all-important ministry, albeit for a short time. During the period, we put in place enough mechanisms to ensure a harmonious society where the survival and development of women, children, persons with disability, as well as other vulnerable persons in our society can be guaranteed in line with your vision to transform the social protection framework into a robust and more responsive one. Sarah Jossafo says that, quote, I am exceedingly grateful for your understanding, compassion, and an ending devotion throughout this past year, especially during a very difficult period for me where I have had to be away from office. Your kind support has been very much welcome, and for that I remain eternally grateful. Cognizance of my duty and duties to 75,000 constituents who elected me, this development is opportune and will afford me more time to concentrate on my parliamentary responsibilities and constituency engagements, as well as consolidate the gains we have made as a government at the constituency level in our quest to break the 8. Many thanks, she says. And we all know that Sarah Jossafo has been a subject of the calls for her seat to be declared vacant in Parliament after missing some 40 sittings there. But we do know that there's a lot of reactions greeting this very letter reaching to the president. Joining us now from the United Kingdom is Theophilus Ansalabi. He happens to be the NPP's constituency secretary for Dome Kwabenya. Well, he's away for a while. He's joining us via Zoom. Kina Likimani, the director of special programs at Odikro, is joining us. And we also do have Ras Mubarak, former member of Parliament for Kumbungu. He's joining us also via Zoom. Thank you, gentlemen and lady, for joining us. So, Likimani, let's start off with you. Obviously, we do know that you issued that report where Sarah Jossafo appears to be leading the chart in terms of the highest number of absentees or absentee MPs in Parliament. So, giving her assurance now that, well, she would now be focused on parliamentary duties, do we pardon her and allow her to resume her duties?
As to Good afternoon for having me. It's not for us to pardon her. When you say us, I don't know. Is it who is us? There are constitutional provisions and a process that was initiated by the Speaker of Parliament in line with those provisions and in line with the standing orders of Parliament, where she basically, that was her second. In fact, she was Adesafu was elected MP before she was hired as the president. So assuring the president that you will be you will now pay attention to the constituency is kind of odd to me, because there was a process. Your assurances were to she was asked to report to the privileges committee why she had missed 40 sittings out of a total of 41. She didn't. She didn't appear. She didn't make herself available. So I find the letter and the assurance. Of course, she can write to the president. That was her former employer. But I find assuring the president when there is this other issue, there's a whole body with these processes which you have to attend to, not you know, maybe write to the speaker, I don't know.
Yeah, but Kina, the point is, some other members who are referred to the Privileges Committee have been left off the hook. The belief is, now that we're getting a sense of what her condition is and the assurance she's giving, at least she should be pardoned just like the others.
But are you her lawyer?
I'm just asking questions anyway.
No,
that's my job.
The process, let me be clear. The process, when you say those other two were pardoned or whatever, they submitted themselves to the Privileges Committee. Let me, I keep repeating this point, and I'm going to repeat it here. The Constitution is incredibly kind and understanding. The Constitution understands that MPs are human beings with lives. And as human beings with lives, they have family members, they will attend to different things. Emergencies may come up. What the Constitution says is that on an ordinary day, you wake up as an MP and Parliament is sitting, you plan on getting to Parliament. But on that day, anything can happen. The Constitution allows you 14 days where anything can happen, and so therefore, you don't give advance notice to your leaders and to the speaker that you will not be there. The Constitution is kind; it allows you those 14 days. What the Constitution says is that after those 14 days, 15 days and above, you have now violated, an absenteeism clause. The process is that the Privileges Committee calls you. You explain yourself. Again, another grace period. You explain yourself, and the committee makes a judgment on that. So there is already the kindness. It's like your what is it called? Your benefit.
Right.
The Constitution doesn't just set out and say from day one when you are absent. She was absent 40 days. Let me also point out that while she was doing TikTok stuff and everybody is allowed to because we are human beings. Issues come up. It is a very simple form. Fill the form and seek the permission.
Right.
You already know the dates that you are going to be traveling, you're going to be away from Ghana. It's a one page. You fill it out, you let them know. Otherwise, we won't be here. You see, some of this is just a very simple thing. Fill the form. Even, I think, Honorable Korte, who said he went abroad his explanation was he went abroad for medical care.
Right.
It's painful for me to hear this, because when he was planning his trip abroad, he bought a plane ticket, he arranged medical care with whichever country, he must have sought the visas for the countries, he must have made accommodation. Part of this is respect Parliament and its rules. Your employer, the people of Ghana, fill out the form.
I get the point you're making. Let's also hear from the party perspective. Theophilus Ansah Labi's constituency secretary for the New Patriotic Party. Theo, thank you for your time. So this is where we are today. It's clear that Sarah Adesafu is committed to breaking the eight with you. Are you willing to walk that path with her as a political party in the constituency? Theophilus, you'd have to unmute for me first of all so I can hear the points you're making. Yes, Theophilus, yes, I can hear you now, yes.
Good. I said, thank you for having me, and I would like to say good afternoon to your cherished listeners. I think I've been to your studios, and I've been to several studios with this issue. What I would say is that literally biasing personalities doesn't really change their attitude, except the consequences of their actions catches up with them. Actually, this situation shouldn't have gotten where we are now, yes. And I've always said that Honorable was welcome. She should let us have a cut-off point to whatever is happening so that she comes over to the constituency and we'll work together, because that's what the people voted her for. And we are saying here that no individual in the constituency or in the party is interested in kicking her away so that her position will be taken from her. What we're saying is that we have the men, we have the women, but we are not kicking her out. It is her own actions that has brought her where she is now. But it's a bit laughable when in the letter, Honorable Adjusable says taking her out as a cabinet minister will enable her concentrate on her duties as a member of parliament. I don't know, but
yeah, but I mean, you understand the workings of government. You know what time it requires, even as a minister of state, talk less of a cabinet minister. She has more time on her hands now to at least focus on the constituency and work together with you. You agree?
What it is that, you know, the cabinet is the body that takes the decision, serious governmental decisions. And you'll be privileged for you to have your member of parliament part of this very body, because serious governmental decisions are taken there. So your needs as a constituency will be even heard first before it goes anywhere. That's what I'm saying, because it's not an ordinary position our honorable member of parliament had, and we were all looking forward to benefit from that. And you say, okay, that is up to her. But what we are saying is that we wish her well if she's coming, that he had a very Herculean task of coming back to make amends with constituency executive committee. She has disrespected for far too long and neglected far too long. Area coordinators, she has done same too. I can't speak for the municipal assembly comprising of assembly members, right, the presiding member, and all that she has. It is not going to be that easy for her coming, because she has disrespected almost everybody. I came to your studio and said once that she has been unfair to herself.
She talks about breaking the 8, and let me say this, that this may be my personal inference, but I guess it's no accident for us to find Sarah Ajasafo state in her letter that she's member of parliament for 75,000 people. That's a significant number, you do agree. You don't want to mess with that figure in terms of your agenda to break the 8. So when she points out the number, many believe that that's where, as constituency leadership, you must be mindful of breaking your front. That's the most populous constituency in the country now.
Exactly so. We have 174,000 registered voters. Yeah. And we're looking forward to more votes than what she mentioned, because the president had 78,000.
Yes, but you don't want to risk. You don't want to risk the number. If Sarah Ajasafo is not treated well, you agree that that may affect your chances.
We all wish MPP well. We wish MPP succeed. That's why we are. We are workers of the party, and we are working so hard to break the 8. So whosoever rhymes with that, we are happy, basically. But what we are saying is that we wish her well. But what she has done in this time past, ever since she was voted as a member of parliament, has cost us so much that I think, in my own opinion, will take her a hell of a time to make amends, to move forward to say that we want to break the 8.
Well, that's a serious statement you're making as a party executive.
That's what
in fact, the threat to party unity.
You have constituency executive committee, yeah, which is made up of a chairman, secretary, and 17 executives that you haven't spoken to for over 2 years. You have, you know, she's an MP for the whole constituency. All constituents of the constituency, including NDCs, MPPs, and all political parties. But MPP as a party has a structure in place to make the party work so smooth, including the work of the MP. And this structure is what I say she has disrespected and she has neglected for too long.
Theophilus, just hold on for me. Let me bring in Ras Mubarak. He was actually part of the, persons who also petitioned Parliament on the issue of absenteeism. Ras, it's good to be hearing from you now. Finally, we've seen that official letter acknowledging, at least for the very first time, a letter from a state official. All attempts by the Privileges Committee to get Sarah Jasafo proved futile. We're at a point where the official report has been laid before plenary. Then we hear Sarah Jasafo writing to the president. Will that change? Does it have any capacity to change what it is that's happening in Parliament for now?
Well, I feel sorry about her son. I also feel sorry for her because she's one person who had a very, promising future politically, especially as a young female MP. We all thought that the sky was the limit for her. But I can tell you that she has thrown everything up in flame, with her lack of candor with the people in her constituency, with her gross disrespect of Parliament, with her brazen display of a lack of, principle. The Domi Kwabena seat is not a personal fiefdom where you would hold on to it by hook or crook. You would expect anyone with a bit of scruples and principle to step aside in situations like this so that they can attend to personal situations. Unfortunately, she did not do that.
No, but Ras, this is a norm in Parliament, you agree? I mean, you've been there before.
No, I mean...
So you do agree. Almost all of your colleagues do that.
The issue of absenteeism, it's a source of great worry for everyone who means well for Ghana, but that cannot be justified, especially when she's been given every opportunity, by the Privileges Committee to explain away, why she should not suffer the penalty thereof. Unfortunately, she decided to disrespect the committee, a conduct I would call even contempt of Parliament, and this is where we are. I was disappointed a decision was not made. The longer we take...
Oh, really? You're disappointed with what the Speaker did? The Speaker had every fine opportunity to at least go ahead and give his ruling. He says, I'm waiting on the old lady. That old lady has taken us into recess. We're waiting. We don't know what that old lady will tell the Speaker when we return.
I was exceedingly, like many other Ghanaians who were, waiting with bated breath to see the closure of that particular issue. Unfortunately, it was an anticlimax. And here we are, Sarah Jasafo, ridiculously suggesting that she's coming to Parliament. She's not coming to Parliament. As far as this Parliament is concerned, she's done and dusted. No,
I mean, this is a member of Parliament. She even indicates that in the letter to the president. She says, at least now I have my hands off the ministerial work. It's time for me to focus on my constituency. By law, her seat is not vacant.
She can say what she wants to say, but I don't see her coming back to Parliament under these current circumstances where she has, made her case very worse, where she has disrespected and could be found to have been in contempt of Parliament by her brazen disrespect and refusal, to appear before the Privileges Committee. She has a chance to write to the presidency, but would not respect Parliament enough to want to write to Parliament or explain why she can't appear before a committee of Parliament. And let me say that those who are, encouraging this kind of conduct from within Parliament are not doing the country any good. Those who seem to be wanting to be in the way of having the Constitution respected are not doing us any...
Okay, Ras, I'll tell you who's in the way. It's your own side of the House, the minority. They've appeared with a certain posture of delaying the processes, in fact, challenging the First Deputy Speaker on his interpretation of the law, that by now, Sarah Jasafo's seat should have been vacant.
Well, I'm sure you've heard my comments about the conduct of the minority front bench on this particular issue. It's a self-serving, conduct. It does not serve the best interest of the NDC in the short, medium, or long term. Neither does it serve the best interest of the country. They are on their own frolic, and the good people of Ghana would know the people who are really defending the Constitution, and would know the people who want to put the interest of their friends high and above the interest of the country. Nobody in any serious parliament or country would entertain this kind of behavior. Nobody would entertain.
Yeah, but we entertain the likes of course, the Greater Crown Regional Minister. He's giving explanations as to why he's not, of course, being around. We've heard from Kennedy Japan as well. All of these persons were spared. And Odikro is telling us through their parliamentary observation report that the list goes on and on. As many as 28 others or so. That's
it's a tall list.
Yes, precisely. So why be fixated on Sarah Adwoa-Sarfo? I guess it's not simply fair when you do that to her, right?
In my petition to the Speaker of Parliament, as of the time I wrote the petition, I cited 4 MPs: the Honourable Harry Kote, Sarah Adwoa-Sarfo, the Honourable Kennedy Japan, and the Honourable Kojokum, based on the information that I had at that particular moment. I frown on this culture of people, deciding to treat Parliament anyhow. It doesn't help in advancing the cause of democracy in our country, and if I had information on some other MPs who had absented themselves, be rest assured I would have included that. Now, the Constitution, which is supreme, gives anyone who is cited for contempt or for absenting themselves an opportunity to explain away why they shouldn't be punished. You wouldn't blame me or anybody, for that provision in the Constitution. The Constitution would adhere to those MPs, at least 2 of them who were cited, have the humility to appear before the Privileges Committee. Sarah Adwoa-Sarfo decided that she was going to treat the committee's letters with disdain and with contempt. And so she decided not to appear before the committee. Now she's telling us in a rather ridiculous turn of events, that she's looking forward to coming to her job as a member of Parliament. I would be exceedingly disappointed if this were to be the case, because we can't make examples of, junior officers, of civil servants who misconduct themselves.
Could it not be a simple case that she's standing a new leave? She's saying, I will now be a good girl. Just to read meanings into what it is she's saying. Why not pardon her? At least we've pardoned the first, the second person involved. She's the third. Allow her to return, and then we could assess. Okay, yes. Ras, I'll come to you. Ras, I'll come to you. Just hold on for me. So let me bring in Kina. Yes.
But your posture is alarming. What are you trying? Exactly what are you trying to say? Are you, because you are asking questions and the questions you are asking, it's making us, even we mom that we are sticking to the process, come off looking unreasonable.
No, that's not entirely the point. The issue about what happened, what happened over the period.
The representation of Ghanaian citizens, just as Honorable Mubarak has said, it's not a family business. It's not something that you are entitled to. If you stand in front of 105,000 people, and you say you are going to represent them, when you are put in Parliament, you have to abide by the Constitution. So when you say we should forget, what is this laissez-faire attitude you are having? Because
but the point is, the 28 others you point out in your report are still members of Parliament. They still appear.
We submitted the report on the last day.
Yeah.
We have done our work. We've told Parliament when they come back, they should meet on it. They haven't come back. My point is
but in your report, clearly, Kina, just a minute. Kina, just a minute. In your report, you pointed out that you were sourcing your data right from Parliament, which means that the Speaker of Parliament, if indeed he is the Speaker of Parliament, would have been aware of the figures, knowing how many MPs did not abide by the rules. All of these persons were not referred to the Privileges Committee.
Let let me explain something. Your innuendos are not right. If somebody is indeed the Speaker of Parliament, let's not do that. It's not necessary for so many words in English to make innuendos that are uncalled for. The current Speaker of Parliament is the Right Honourable Alban Bagman, not indeed. Secondly, and this is where Odikro comes in, we take the votes and proceedings, which is the official register of Parliament, which is an open document. We take those physical documents, we scan them, and then we use programming language to extract the data, and then we spend countless hours verifying and making sure the data is correct. Now, we can talk about how Parliament, and we support this, can go into more, can you say an electronic register, say fingerprints, which will automatically tally, but Parliament doesn't do that. So because absenteeism is a provision of the Constitution, we do this work. The beneficiary, the target of this work is the Speaker. We have done countless reports we haven't submitted, we haven't released, we release it to, we give it to the Speaker. Once the Speaker, so it's not like, once the Speakers have it, then they act on it. I'm not here to hold brief for any Speaker, but what I would say is that Honorable Bagman is the first Speaker, for whatever reason, to have opened the door to look at absenteeism. Past Speakers, they didn't even want Odikro to release reports. And I am very heartened by that Honorable Ras Mubarak petitioned. It is not an easy thing to take pieces of paper and sit down and do this work, but we've done it. Let us not belabor the fact that some CSO has done it. We have, in fact, the document is open, and I think I've shared it to people at Joy. You can go and check every single instance of absenteeism. So that's not the point either. The point is that there is a process that now, for whatever reason, I'm not a political watcher in the ins and outs. This Speaker has opened the door to absenteeism. Honorable Ajo Safo was given an opportunity. I want to belabor the point I made earlier, that the Constitution is kind and forgiving. It's 15 days after is where the violation starts. After that, she was written to by the Privileges Committee when they couldn't find her. I think they even put announcements somewhere in public.
Yes,
she knew. She knew. She knew. We all knew. She was nowhere to be found. Nor did she even write in to say, you know what, I am sorry I missed the date. Please reschedule. Even now, maybe she can do it. But it is not for... I don't understand this.
Anyway, I see how passionate you're getting.
It's like, look, MP, it is the way sometimes our parliament has sort of subjugated its mandate and its role to the executive. Is why people don't understand that the power and the mandate that parliament has, only parliament has it. Only parliament has responsibilities like they do for lawmaking, for representation and overseeing the executive. Okay. This is no joke.
Right.
This is absolutely no joke.
Okay.
And I would beg you that your line of questioning respects that, because this is not even about political movements and shenanigans at the constituency level. She represents the largest constituency in Ghana. So even the breaking and the 8, and we are not talking about, we're talking about people living in urban Accra, 105,000 of them, and their representation. This is not a party.
Let's bring in Ras. Obviously, Kina not happy about the questions I'm putting across, but yes, we need to talk about the others as well involved in this. Do you intend to take up any action against all of these persons as well? Because you petitioned about the first 3. Do you intend to take any action against the others as well?
One at a time. The indignation Kine expressed are righteous, you know, and as much as you may want to play the devil's advocate, the reality is that, you know, those who have absented themselves have not done our country any good. The person we're talking about has spoken from abroad more than she's spoken from the floor of Parliament. 75,000 or so people, you know, elected her. How many times within the context you are talking about was she on the floor of Parliament, you know, representing her people? She didn't, but at least we know she's been in the media domain at least twice. you know? So the people of Domikwabenya have a right to be represented in parliament, just like any other constituency. I would use this opportunity to call on her party to deselect her, you know, to call on Parliament to expedite action on bringing a finality to this issue, and to call on, you know, constituents to be mindful of the kinds of people we put out to represent us, and that constituents have within them, they have the powers, you know, to punish. This is not the first time, as Odikro had indicated time and again, that MPs are absenting themselves, you know. But what do we see? We have a flawed electoral system where these MPs go get elected, you know, come back, perpetuate the same levels of indiscipline. Parliament is serious, is a place of serious work, you know, and we should be mindful how we approach, you know, the work of Parliament.
Okay, you're asking his party, right? You're asking, yeah, just land on that point then.
It is very incumbent on constituents to watch out on all of these things, you know, and if the MPs are not behaving in a manner that best represents their interest, they, the people, have a right to say, we don't want so and so MP. The political parties should crack the whip and get the right things done. And of course, Parliament, you know, should not waste time in dispensing with cases like this.
Okay, then. That's why I want to bring in Theophilus as well, who's on Zoom with us. Theo, so where do we go from here? What do you intend to do as the political party and the constituency executives? Are we likely to see any statement or perhaps a caution to the MP?
What I am happy is that Honorable Adjuster mentioned figures of 75,000. The question is that, does the same 75,000 have that trust it gave you 2 years ago? That trust, does it still exist now? 75,000. Does the executive committee you were working with 2 years ago, do they have the same trust in you as it stands now because of your behavior and attitude? All I can say is that we wish her well. As a party in the constituency, we want to tell her that we're not pushing her away. We don't have that interest in her position. We had certain level of trust for her. We voted for her. We had some expectations from her. And basically, she has disappointed us. That's all we will say.
And you're saying this on behalf of the executives, not the 75,000 persons. Because if you look at the some of the research works that we've seen recently.
The 75,000 people are MPP, basically. Majority of them have the same way, they think the same way MPP thinks.
Yeah, but the point is that I'm pointing to some figures we've seen in recent times from, is it Global Info Analytics, pointing to the fact that she remains a bit popular in the constituency itself. She may win the elections by some 51% as the polls is indicating in that report. So that's not a fact you'd want to push away easily, right?
What I'm saying is that MPP has made a judge of who she is today, basically. Without MPP, we did not know so much of her. And the seat was an MPP safe seat before she took over. Professor Aaron Michael O'Quinn has done his best. He was the MP for 2 terms before Honorable Adjuster came in, and she is in for the 3rd term. So if she thinks she's the only person who can make MPP what it is in Domikwabenya, then we are all making a mistake, including herself, actually. So yes, in as much as we respect her, we had some level of faith and trust in her some time ago, her attitude has diminished.
Yeah, but I'm asking about sanctions.
Looking forward to breaking the 8. We're not looking forward to diminish our numbers. But as we all know, politics is maturing in Ghana. That certain things people used to look at before voting for you are different nowadays. And by her attitude, I can tell you, our vote is likely to diminish. Because even staying in power and seeking another term is a different, another ball game altogether. So if you are in power and you're looking forward to break the 8, all your actions are actions that should be appealing to the people, that will be voting for you. It shouldn't be negative actions that will put you in the news for negative reasons all the time. That's what we're talking about.
All right then. Worst case scenario, worst case scenario, if we have Sarah Jasafo, for instance, prevented, I'm not saying that's what you intend to do as the executives of the party, prevented from running the primaries, she may decide to go independent. That could affect your fortunes, right?
But MPP is supreme. That's what I can tell you. The party is strong. The party is supreme. The party is bigger than any individual. So MPP will still remain victorious, irrespective. That's all I can tell you now.
Okay. Let's look forward to what we could be doing in strengthening Parliament. Ras, I'll start off with you. Where do we go from here?
Well, clearly, incidences like this further strengthen the collapse of trust, in politics by the Ghanaian public. And we all should be guided. I am confident that the Right Honorable Speaker Bagbin would come out with a decision that is in the best interest of the country. And no one is picking up on her. We all, the more women we have in our politics, the better for all of us, because you get to have diversity of decision-making and opinion. So it's tragic if one, knowledgeable woman, leaves the scene. But clearly, Adjo Safo has demonstrated a lack of commitment to the country and a lack of principle, for which reason I couldn't even demand for her to, tender in her, her resignation as an MP, because that is what anyone with any, with the smallest ounce of principle would do. Unfortunately, she's lost it all and completely out of touch. But we should be guided by the damage that incidences like this do to our democracy.
Let's wrap up on the point about the posture of the Speaker and the proverbial early shadows. If the Speaker was going to ever act on this, the belief is that should have been done at the very last sitting before recess. He's missed that opportunity. Would you be surprised if the Speaker comes back to say, let's forgive her?
I'd be in utter shock, and the Speaker would have eroded the applause that he's received from the Ghanaian public, at least for being the first Speaker to, admit a situation like this, to allow for a process like this to happen. Previous Speakers have, shut the door at any such opportunity, to scrutinize Parliament, and it would have been a nail in the coffin of the little amount of confidence that is left, in the institution of Parliament. And I can tell you that if that were to happen, we would find it so difficult to discipline other civil servants who are misconducting themselves in this way.
Kina?
I agree with everything that Honorable Ras Mubarak has said. So on this list, for that session, it was 33 members that violated the Article 97(1). But even when you go through the individual votes and proceedings, there are many days where clearly half of MPs are not in the chamber. And when I was doing the validation, I was like, does one half of Parliament have a party or a meeting somewhere that the other half didn't know? It just looks awful. Sometimes the Speaker enters the chamber and the majority of MPs are not there. So we really, we are encouraged by what Right Honorable Alvin Bagbin has initiated. It is as Honorable Mubarak has said, he needs to follow through on it. On the other hand, too, every time we are talking about, when we talk about absentees, we are not talking about those who make sure they attend. I have a list of about like 30 or more who have perfect records. That is, they attended every single meeting, or maybe they sought permission for maybe 2 or 3, including, I think, one of the MPs for WA, or, so it's not even an issue of distance. So again, I keep, maybe Ghanaians, we keep telling people that it is an actual simple 1-page form. sometimes, the majority leaders will tell us that, they call us when they are on their way to the airport. This is not how you should deal with your seniors at work and the employers, the people who have employed you, which is Ghanaians. Calling your leader to say, I have an urgent meeting is not seeking permission the right way. And it's a simple form. They should fill it out, and they should actually make an effort to prioritize the work of Parliament and to be on the floor of Parliament, because attendance is the bare minimum. We can't talk about representation if people are not attending. And so, like the constituency executive said, we are obviously maturing. Some of this is coming a little bit late, but we will not be. We are encouraged by what is happening. So we hope that the speaker follows through.
Okay, then. Let me give the final words to your Theophilus. You may be a political party, but obviously the type of candidates you choose is very key in this process. So what's that pledge you're making as constituents or delegates of the New Patriotic Party in the Dom Kwabena area going into the next primaries of the New Patriotic Party, which is coming up shortly?
We have the men and women. We're not lacking the people to contest. In every primaries, we've gotten people contesting. At the last primaries, Honorable Joseph won narrowly by 8 votes. That tells you, okay, we have the people in every. So, Dom Kwabena, as a constituency, have the trust in MPP, and we are delivering. And we're going to manage the expectation of the people of Dom Kwabena and tell them that if Adwoa Safo come, that is fine. Changing her ways, we will deliver. If she goes away, we have people to replace her. But I'm putting it on record, we are not pushing her away as executive or a party in the constituency. But it is her own act that is catching up with her, or that has caught up with her, that has led to what we're having now. So the assurance is that the expectation of the people in the constituency is well managed with or without her. So we'll still keep the seat.
Theophilus, Kina, and of course, Ras, thank you all. What a conversation it has been. But I'm grateful. It's worth the while. Thank you all for joining us. I guess we need a break at this point here on the Pulse on the Joy News channel. We'll be back shortly. And when we return, we'll talk about Alan Chermating. He's been speaking about government's industrialization agenda. Well, so we will get there. That's the assurance from Trade and Industry Minister Alan Chermating, who today spent some time detailing efforts of government to sustain its industrialization agenda. Now, about a week ago, the Association of Ghana Industries alerted government of an imminent collapse of the Ghanaian manufacturing sector owing to the meltdown of the economy, especially the depreciation of the Ghana cedi against major trading currencies. However, providing some updates on the efforts by the ministry to tackle the challenges, the Trade Minister gave a wide range of policy options being considered to get the local industry back on track. He was speaking at the 5th Ghana Industrial Summit and Expo.
The whole world has stood by for 2 countries to control the supply of some very critical products in the world. And so this must teach us a hard lesson, that unless we industrialize, in the event of any serious global crisis, will be found wanting. Secondly, the rising challenge of unemployment also points unequivocally to the need for us to take industrialization very seriously. It is not a matter of coincidence or chance that the most advanced, the most powerful economies in the world are also the most industrialized. And you can name them, from the United States to China to Japan, Korea, India. Name all the top powerful economies in the world. They also happen to be the most industrialized. So this ought not to be a matter of debate in our country as to whether we need to industrialize or not. The third is the fact that it is only through industrialization that we can enhance exports and reduce imports. Now, when you enhance exports, you earn more foreign exchange. When you reduce imports, you conserve foreign exchange. And it means that your foreign exchange resources will then build up. And it's only when your foreign exchange resources build up that you're able to support your local currency. And if you support your local currency, then you have a stable city. So we have no choice in this country to appreciate that the path forward for us in terms of transformation is to focus on industrialization. And I know that in these very difficult times, Ghanaians have very little appetite for self-adoration. If I come and I start talking about what the government is doing, you may not.
To the Upper East region. Between 2009 and 2016, the people of the area had been lamenting the deplorable nature of the Bolgatanga-Boku Road. In that period, pressure groups organized several demonstrations to pile pressure on government to construct the road. In July 2016, the NDC administration, led by John Mahama, awarded the road contract and cut short for its construction. For our JoyNews agenda on roads today, JoyNews correspondent Albert Sorry takes us on a drive from Bolgatanga to Boku to assess the progress of work done on this particular stretch.
Contract for work on the Bolgatanga-Boku-Pulmakum Road was awarded in the year 2016 by the erstwhile NDC government led by John Dramani Mahama. The contract was awarded to Brazilian construction firm Queiroz Galvao MI. The current MPP government, led by President Nana Akufo-Addo, initially halted the construction of the road after coming to power in 2017. But that same year, they awarded a revised contract to the same firm. The 117-kilometer road from the Bolgatanga municipality passes through 4 other districts: Bolgatanga East, Nabdam, Boku West, and Binduri. It then goes through the Boku municipality to the Ghana-Togo border town of Pulmakum in the Pusiga district. Now, a lot of work has been done on this road, and today, traveling on this road has become smoother than it used to be. I'm going to drive from Bolgatanga to Boku to find out how smooth the road has become, and to find out from commuters how they feel now about the progress of work on this road so far. It will be a journey of 81 kilometers. The first sighting of ongoing construction work is at the bridge over a part of the White Volta between Bolgatanga and Zwarungu. It is called the Kola. Peter Dagadu is the resident engineer and explains the nature of the work being done here.
We have 117 kilometers of road, which has been apportioned into 14 lots. And the Kula Bridge is lot 2. Bogatan is lot 1, which we are yet to start. And that is a dual carriage, 4 lane, 2 in and 2 out. It's a twin bridge of 80-meter long span.
Back to our journey from Bolgatanga to Boku. The Bolgatanga-Zwarungu stretch of the road has now been tarred, and it is a very smooth drive compared to what used to be a bumpy, uncomfortable drive on a pothole-ridden road which was prone to accidents and claiming numerous lives. The drive remains the same from Zwarungu in the Bolgatanga East district to Nangodi in the Nabdam district and to Tili in the Boko West district. At Tili, there is an untarred section stretching about 600 meters. Another bridge is being constructed on this section over the Red Volta.
The next one is the Red Volta, a single carriageway, also 80-meter span. In total, we have done about 45%. But if you look at it solely in terms of the road, we've done more than 70%.
After this untarred section, another smooth drive begins with tarred road from Tili to Zebila, still in the Boko West district. We pass the Zebila township and a few minutes later come across an untarred but more troubled stretch at Kobori. This section of the road was washed away in the year 2020 when torrential rains coupled with the spillage of the Bagre Dam in Burkina Faso resulted in floods in many parts of the Upper East region. This untarred section stretches up to the bridge over the White Volta, which links the Boko West district to the Binduri district. Massive construction is ongoing of this bridge.
And here, also a single carriageway, 180-meter span. Where we are standing now is Lot 10, which is the White Water Bridge.
We cross the portion under construction, which is about 500 meters long, onto a pothole-ridden stretch which continues for about another 500 meters. Then again, a tarred stretch begins from Gunwoko to Palwega before Boko. Inside Boko, the drive is a struggle. The Boko township roads are terrible, with dozens of potholes as drivers and tricycle operators try to meander their way to their destinations. For drivers who commute between Bolgatanga and Boko, the road is now far better than it used to be.
Compared to the other days where there were no tiled roads here, it's better now as compared to those days. You spend like 2 hours from Bolga to Boku, but now you can spend like 45 minutes from Bolga to Boku.
The road is good for us. At first, we can use like 3 hours to get to Boku, but now we can use less than 1 hour to get to Boku or Bolga.
Now it's far at the first, now it's good. The road is now fine. If you are going, come see, there was not having cars, small cars to go, but now the cars are there. If you have to go to place, you get cars fast and go.
Work on the Pulmakom stretch is also underway. According to government, the Bolgatanga-Boko Pulmakom road is expected to be completed between March and December 2023. Here is Upper East Regional Minister Stephen Yakubu.
It includes a bypass, bypassing Boko Town, and they have not started with a bypass. They are working on it. And that, because if you travel along the road, and then he's talking about 45 or he's talking about 60%, you'll be wondering about this. You are almost done. Why this smaller percentage? It's because of the bypass. In fact, the first in the history of Upper East that we're going to have this bypass, and that is going to help Boko to expand.
This road, when finally completed, will also serve as an international link between Ghana and neighboring countries such as Burkina Faso, Togo, Mali, and Niger. For now, the funds are secured and work on the road continues. For Joy News, Albert Sori, reporting from Bolgatanga.
Okay, then let's bring back Albert, who's on via Zoom. Albert, what more are the experts saying about the timelines given for the completion of the project?
So the road is expected to be completed by March of next year, when the contractor will hand over the road to the Ghana Highways Authority for them to also do their work. Now, there are things like speed ramps, markings, and even some culverts in portions of the road that still have to be constructed, besides the bridges, which are also currently under construction. Now, like you saw in the story, there are some of the stretches, like the Boko Township, for instance, all the way to Pusiga and then to Pulmakom. These are portions that still have a lot of work to be done. There is the very first lot, which is in the Bolga Township itself. And as you heard the engineer explain, this is going to be, the part where they will have a double carriage road. So these are all things that still need to be done. And we are working earnestly towards meeting the deadline next year.
Right. How crucial will this link be to the people of the Upper West region in terms of their economic activities as well?
Yeah, so for instance, we have a number of borders between Ghana and Togo, and also Ghana and Burkina Faso in that part. So in Kulungugu, for instance, we have the Ghana-Burkina Faso border, which is around the Boku area. In Pulmakom, we have the Ghana-Togo border as well. Now, there are a lot of vehicles, heavy-duty vehicles, which fly these two routes, bringing in goods like watermelons, onions, and so on and so forth. And the people at Binduri, Boko, and these areas that I earlier mentioned are also into a lot of farming. They produce all these foodstuff that can also be exported across the country and all of that. So it's a very, very important road for the people. That is why in the introduction to the story, we mentioned that prior to the beginning of the construction of this road, there were several demonstrations by the people of the region trying to pile pressure on governments to construct the road, because at the time it was very, very bad. Instead of taking you about an hour to get to Boko, it used to take you up to 3 hours. So that's how important this road is.
In the meantime, how much of a challenge is it for revelers in that part of the country?
So at the moment, because 70% of the road itself has been done, it makes the journey far smoother than it used to be, as you heard some of the drivers say. One of the challenges, or one of the complaints we got, was that some drivers now tend to overspeed because speed ramps have not yet been constructed in most parts of the road. So, this is the complaint that we have. But apart from that, it's just left with the needed bridges and other things that will make the road complete. But for traveling on the road, it is generally smoother than it used to be before the year 2018 thereabouts.
How about the position of government on the year of roads and the promise made to the people of the Upper West region? I'm sure that you've been interacting with some of the government officials in that part of the country. What more do you gather from them?
Yeah, so this is the Upper East region. So the regional minister toured the road. That was when we had the interviews with him, which you just saw him, speak to. This road, even when the president recently visited the region just about 2 weeks or so ago, he went to inspect ongoing work because there was massive pressure by everyone in this region as far as this road is concerned. There were several promises that were made, especially when this government came into power in 2017 and had to halt construction on the road because of contractual issues. It made people feel that the government wasn't willing to continue. But then they lived up to their promise, re-awarded the contract, based on what they thought needed to be put, between government and the Brazilian construction firm that is doing the road. So as far as government is concerned, there is commitment. And as you heard the minister say, the funds are there. All they need to do is to make sure that they follow the timelines and do everything that needs to be done step by step. So the people of this region do not expect to hear any excuses, you know, on why this road doesn't get completed. The expectation is that the deadlines will be met. And finally, maybe we can concentrate on other developmental issues and not talk about this particular Bolga-Boku road.
Albert, sorry, thank you. The students of the Palgun Junior High School in the Tolon district of the Northern Region would write their BEC without having studied ICT subject during their stay in Form 3. That's because the school has no ICT teacher, and therefore the students have to study the subject on their own. The students are now worried it will have dire consequences on their performance.
The Palgun School serves 5 communities in the Tolon district of the Northern Region, but the school is challenged. For this year's Form 3s, their situation is compounded in ICT. The students would have to write this subject from tuition they received from their teachers last year, because there is no teacher for the Form 3 this year. Abdul Rahman, a student, like most of his colleagues, spends time reading, but he's worried that is not enough.
For the whole of this year, we don't have ICT teacher. On 17th October, we are going to write BC. And we are learning through teachers. Without teacher, the student cannot learn completely. So it affects our learning on the paper. Because something that you learned, you can write on a paper. Something that you didn't learn, how can you write it on a paper?
Not only do they not have an ICT teacher, the junior high school has no textbooks. This means that the students have no access to extra material apart from the teacher's notes.
Because the challenges of not having a textbook can make me fail my exams. Because I only depended on what teachers teach me, and only that note cannot help me to pass my exams very well. If the teacher taught me and I don't have a textbook, if I go to exam hall, I'll fail. Because what they taught me, if it doesn't part of the questions, I'll fail the exams.
I joined the class 3 pupils to get to understand the challenge they face having to come to school each day. We are in the class 3 classroom where there are supposed to be over 20 students, but we have just 13 of them in school today. Reason, the structure is not good. Not just the structure, they have had to sit on the bed floor to study. That is not motivation enough for some of them to stay in school, and so they are home. We are going to speak to some of them and find out the challenges they face having to study under this condition. At the primary level, primary 3 pupil Naila Abdullahi said the roof of her classroom was destroyed, and therefore anytime it rains, she and her colleagues are unable to sit in class.
When we come to school, we have no furniture, and when it rains, the roof leaks, so we run home. And the classrooms have no doors. All the doors are destroyed. Because of this, when it comes to learning, it's difficult.
Unit committee member of the area, Amadou Abdul Malik, on his part, described the situation as a mess.
When I visited the school for the first time this year, it was a mess because we had information that they are working on the problem that we put across to the GES, but nothing has been done. Because no infrastructure, no table and chairs, no teachers, a whole lot of issues. How can a JSS student rely on the belly to write? How can a JSS student don't have an ICT teacher and is also going to write an ICT? It means he has failed in advance.
Behind me is the primary school block. The roof is virtually off. The children have to sit in the rain or would have to go home anytime it rains. No single furniture in the whole of this block. So the children are sitting on the bare floor to study. What they are asking for is help to get some furniture and a roof over their head so that they can have a comfortable environment to study. For JoyNews, Martina Bugri reporting for Kulubin Zion Primary School.
So, Martina, let's get some updates on this. Have we heard from the Ghana Education Service on what they intend to do about at least giving some final tuition to all of these candidates going into the examination? Yeah,
we went to the district education office and were told that the current, the one who was there, the district director, had been transferred and a new one was coming. Until the new one settles, nobody's ready to talk to the media on this issue. And so it means that the children would, if nothing changes, the children will go in October to write the exams without having studied the course for a full year.
So we're getting indication that something will be done, or they would have to wait till next year?
It doesn't look like anything would be done. Having engaged the unit committee chairman, he says that, the unit committee member, he says that they have made efforts to get the Ghana Education Service to listen to them, but nothing seems to be going on. And so it doesn't look like they haven't made an effort. They have made an effort as a community, but nothing has been done. And so they are hoping that at least somebody outside the Ghana Education Service would come to their aid, because they think that they've lost it if it comes to the Ghana Education Service doing something about it.
Okay then, Martina, thank you for the latest. Now, stakeholders have identified strong religious advocacy as a major cause of COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Anglonga district. Just about 12% of the district's population has received the jab, leading to the district being least vaccinated amongst 18 districts in the Volta region. The Ghana Health Service has therefore begun wider stakeholder consultations, hoping to convince the populace to accept the jab in the ongoing COVID-19 vaccination exercise.
The Anglonga district, which lies on the southeastern coast of Ghana, has a population of 94,895. According to statistics from the Ghana Health Service, only 11,874 residents have been vaccinated. This was due to the high level of vaccine hesitancy, placing Anglonga district at the bottom of the Volta region COVID-19 vaccination league table. Strong religious advocacy, misinformation, disinformation, and misconception have been identified as factors influencing residents to reject the vaccine. The Anglonga District Health Director, Ms. Perfect Titiati, lamented the development.
We've had a very strong and vibrant religious advocacy against the vaccination here, and we have experienced it, and we know that it has impacted greatly on the attitude of the citizens towards the vaccination. Obviously, everybody that is in leadership position, it's poised for results, and so if you are not getting the results, you should be worried. So as an individual, as a leader, I think I'm not happy with the current situation and the fact that we have put in a lot of effort. We continue to put in a lot of effort, and yet our efforts are not yielding the desired results. It's not a happy feeling for us as a team.
I will still continue educating our people so that at the end, these things will not be happening. This hesitance of taking the medicine, the vaccine and those things will not be here again. So with the education we are doing today, the forum we are having, the community engagement we are doing with people, with our assembly members, we know that it will pick up.
The MP for Anglonga, Richard Kwame Sepe, entreated the residents to take the jab for their own safety.
The politicians too. The whole thing, this the COVID-19 thing has been seen as a political tool in some reason or the other. If it fits you, then you can speak for it. If you are not for it, then you speak against it. It's not helping. Here we are in Anglonga. You realize in the whole Volta region, we are being last. And I have to encourage my people. I, for one, I took the jab the number of times as a parliamentarian I have to take. Even I took the booster. If I do that, why can't I encourage my country people or my constituents to take it?
The ongoing COVID-19 vaccination campaign is scheduled to end on the 18th of August 2022. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Angologal.
But that's all we have for you here on The Pulse. I am Blessed Sogah. Don't forget to log on to myjoyonline.com. We have updates for you there.